Awesome. Welcome to 13th Age and the 13th Age game cohort. My name is Amber Eager. I am the guest GM. And a bit of background on 13th Age before we jump in. 13th Age is a D20 based system, but it's a D20 system with a spin, in that rather than using things such as the 9-grid alignment system that a lot of D20 based games do, 13th Age uses icon relationships. It looks at combat slightly differently too, in that groups of minion type characters, they call them mooks, are treated as basically one thing. So it can speed up combat and it makes things a bit more interesting. 13th Age also has some interesting setting concepts that they've brought into it. Things such as living dungeons. Think of a sentient dungeon that could always be shifting and doing weird things to you. Magic items that have their own essence to them. It's not just a hat, it's a hat with a quirk to it. And it's a quirk that almost always allows you to have fun as a character when you're working with that magic item. So it's a very versatile, very fun system, but also very different. We are just going to be finishing up one of our players and getting their character set up, and then we're going to jump into a fun adventure in the Dragon Empire. We are finishing up our Dark Elven Sorcerer, helping our player just finish up the last couple finishing touches. And then we'll be introducing all the rest of our fun characters within 13th Age. So we have our fun Dark Elf Sorcerer, we have your one unique thing. What were you thinking of for your icon relationships? And just so you know, you are muted.
Thank you. So for my icon relationship, that's a relationship with some figure within the world.
Right. And you can have multiple relationships. You don't have to have just with one. You can have multiple icons you're related that you have a relationship with.
Okay. I think I'm sorry, I don't understand it. So I think that I would have a relationship with a character who raised me. I just don't really, it's hard for me.
So you're tied in with magic, right?
Yes.
How about the Archmage? He's very much a magic type of character and tied in with magic. Okay. So I could see a positive relationship with the Archmage. And you can have between 1 and 3 points. You have a total of 3 points. You could toss all 3 points into a positive relationship with the Archmage, or we can look at potentially bringing in another relationship.
Sure. Let's do all 3 points. Let's simplify it.
Okay. We have 3 points of the Archmage, and we have your one background of the Arcane Bookworm of 4 points. What were you thinking of for your last background? Or feel free to tell me a bit about your character, and then we'll sort out a background from there.
Right. I'm not muted. So my thought is they, arcane bookworm, but they are a assassin on the side, killing people for money, using their various experiments and magical concoctions.
So like a poisoner then?
Yes, absolutely.
So maybe then their other background has been they have dabbled in the alchemical arts.
Yes, they're absolutely an alchemist.
And would you put your last 4 into that?
Yes.
Okay, so I have dabbled in the herbal and alchemical arts. So that covers that. So we now have a character, except for we don't have, what do we call your characters? We need some names.
My character is going to be named Rowan, Rowen, and I can put that into my character sheet.
Okay, so our sorcerer is Rowan. And how about our gnomish bard?
Hello, I'm Melody, Tree Talker.
Since we have Melody, Tree Talker, we have Rowan. How about that half-orc barbarian? And you are currently muted.
Your name is Garish Twiceborn. You may call me Gar.
Scottish Twiceborn. Awesome. And our and how about our dwarven cleric?
I am.
Oh, that's
Okay, are we good?
I think that was me. It was my other laptop.
Okay. I'm Talus Ravenwing. I'm a dwarf cleric. I'm also a bag of holding.
Amber, you're still muted.
There we go. Now I've got cards for everybody. These are going to come in handy because those are going to help us if we need to do initiative at all, if we need to do any initiative rolls. But it is an absolutely gorgeous day. If we take a look in our lovely Roll20 interface, you will see the Dragon Empire. And the Dragon Empire is this sprawling expanse of basically a continent and pretty much this interesting sociopolitical place. And not far from Concord are a trio of towns and other settlements, Old Town, Twisp, and Burrow. And right in the middle is an area where yearly people come together for a fair and celebration. And it is definitely fair and celebration. Passing through either of those, you will see the buildings decked out in very festive pendants and decorations, and people are clearly getting ready to enjoy themselves. And these fairs, it's a time for people to come together. They make plans, make contracts. There's tests of skill that happen. Adventurers come hoping to score some new contracts for this next few months until the next fair rolls around elsewhere. Merchants come to make contracts to sell their goods and or buy goods if that's what they're in the market for. So it is quite a festive and busy time. Get a bit of music going too. Need some. We have a fair going on. Your characters have all arrived at the fair. There are booths set up where, if you want, you can grab a bite to eat. There's obviously merchant booths set up if you're hoping to do some shopping. But you've arrived at the fair, so I will go ahead and let you start to share a bit about your characters and what they are doing as they arrive at the fair.
I'll go first.
Go for it.
So Talus is kind of looking around at all of these booths with like food and snacks and little, I'm assuming little trinkets and such.
Oh yeah.
Totally the jam, totally my jam. And I'm gonna go up to a stall and grab a little bite to eat and then start looking for things to hoard into my pockets.
Okay. There are all sorts of booths around. Are you looking for like stew? Are you wanting fresh vegetables? Are you looking for
I'm
maybe
looking
something
for
a bit more refined?
like a roll of bread, just some simple bread and butter, because that sounds bomb.
Okay, there's nothing around actually selling like sliced bread and butter, but there is a booth not far away selling basically the medieval form of hot pockets called pasties. And think of it as a pastry shell that is stuffed with meat and vegetables that has been cooked, and while it's cooked, it's basically created its own delicious gooey gravy within.
Okay, I will go into that, and I would like a ham and cheese hot pocket, but I don't want the center cold.
So they go, not a problem, and they provide you this wonderfully fresh out of the oven pasty that's got cheese filling and ham bits in there, and it's clearly been well cooked. It's not cold, even in the center. You can feel that heat radiating.
Oh, this makes my soul so happy. You wouldn't happen to know where I could find sewing needles, would you?
I think the young lady manning the front there thinks for a moment. I believe there was some various fabric merchants, and I believe some of them might have had some other needles and accoutrements of such for sale. Just somewhere down, and she points down the line a ways, down that way. If I remember right, I walked down, there's a big red tent, and the corner, you go left from there, and then, yes, that's right, left from there, and then the next row over, it's just down. You'll see it around the corner on your right. Oh, and that'll be a couple silver for that. And she points down to your meal.
And I reach out, drop a couple, and I am now on a mission to get random assortments of sewing needles and maybe some fabric just in case, you never know.
Okay. So you head off, munching your way as you walk on down. While you are moseying down to where some of the various fabric merchants are, who else wants to make their entrance?
I'll go.
Our bard arrives.
I'd like to just sit on a ledge or a bench or even a stair railing and just watch the people as they go by and write all about them.
So, you're able to find peppered throughout the fair are areas that are clearly more open, where performances might take place, where there's shooting contests with archery over here to there's some bardic stuff going on over there. Some bards going at it over ways down. You can hear a couple bards like dueling banjos, except for it's dueling lutes. And so you hear that, but where you are situated is you've been able to find some, looks like some barrels and stuff. Probably have they have a tarp over them. We're able to find a spot where you can plop down on top of there and just people watch. And this is a busy area. There's people coming in and out of this area where it looks like there had just been something that had taken place. You don't know what. It's been a bit, but looks like they're kind of getting ready to bring in something else, some new entertainment of some kind, maybe some jugglers or whatnot, acrobatics of some kind. But it's also along some of the major thoroughfares through this. And so there's all sorts of people you can watch, all sorts of interesting characters and creatures and whatnot walking around and that can catch your eye.
Fabulous. I like watching the people as they watch the things, because then I can tell what's wrong with them.
Awesome. So you sit back and enjoy, and it's clear that they're setting up for a new act. It looks like some acrobatics, juggling, maybe even some fire might come into play there, because who doesn't like juggling fire?
Trees. Trees don't like juggling fire.
That's a good thing that those trees aren't going to be the ones juggling the fire.
Yes.
So we have our bard who's going to be sitting there, people watching. Okay. Who wants to have their character come in next?
Oh, sure. Garish has got a armful of furs and horns and things that he's making a show of trying to sell at the market here while nervously scanning the crowd because he's heard there might be allies of his parents somewhere in this town, but he is also aware there might be enemies.
Okay. Not a problem. You've been kind of sent there. You have stuff to sell, horns, furs, whatnot. And what you have found is as you've brought them in, actually, let's go ahead and do this really quick. I'm going to quickly roll a die to determine. Okay. You don't have a lot of furs and horns, but what you do have tends to be actually pretty decent quality. So finding people of interest to purchase them hasn't been that hard. It's less of finding people and trying to figure out who do you want to sell them off to. You have a few merchants that are basically in bid wars for your goods. There's a human merchant, looks like a furrier, who's wanting to get a hold of what you have to sell to make into, for nice lining for capes, cloaks, overgarments and whatnot. Especially when he points out that some of the furs you have are of most excellent quality. I would love to get a hold of these. But of course, this grumpy old dwarf over there is like, how dare you? I want these. And it's clear they're in a bid war. They're going back and forth, and you get to kind of figure out who gets the goods and what you're willing to sell them for. Let's see here. As let's do this. And our last individual, what are you going to be doing? How do you
Rowan?
arrive?
Yes. Rowan probably got to the fair as soon as it opened, and was kind of lingering around the different stalls. They are scouring various sellers who have especially books or various odds and ends, things that are unique that they cannot normally find, but especially they are looking for old books that may contain alchemical writings or other magical things that are not well known, things that, journals, anything. They're basically scouring old books.
Okay. There are definitely some booksellers there. There's a couple that specialize in rare and exotic tomes, but you also find some other merchants there selling alchemical and herbal stuff too. I mean, this is quite the fair. It's a big production, especially with those particular towns and settlements coming together. So, you're able to come upon a particular bookseller, a particular merchant, who has some interesting tomes. There's some stuff on the history of the arcane here, all about sigils over there. I mean, there's a mishmash of different books on all sorts of interesting subjects, from that to the history of the arcane arts, to the history of the Dragon Empire, the magic of the dragons, all sorts of interesting things you're able to find in that particular merchant's stall. As you've been wandering about, actually, let's do this. Everybody roll for me a d20.
Okay, how do I
Okay.
pull a d20 on here again? I forget. Wait, hold on.
Okay,
Nope, got it.
got it. Okay, awesome. Okay, Garish, you're so focused on this bid war happening. You're really not seeing anybody else or seeing anything else. You're so caught up with that.
I'm paying attention to the artistic quality of the things these merchants make because I slew this beast by my own hand with great respect for its magnificent life, and I don't wish to give its fur to someone who would disrespect it.
Indeed. So you are busy dealing with that. Tell us, you're seeing stuff, you're seeing people, but nothing really is jumping out at you all that much.
Just gonna take a bite of my hot pocket.
Yeah, you're oh my goodness, this thing is like the best thing since sliced bread. You're hungry, and this thing, there's your focus. Every so often you'll look up and you'll see stuff, but you're just like, this is so good, like drool worthy.
I mean, food is the only thing that makes my soul good.
But Rowan, as you are going about, poking about in various stalls, finding merchants and looking at books, every so often you'll look out and you'll see things. Not too far away, you see this half-orc talking to some merchants. It looks like haggling over something. Basically, you see Garish. And a moment later, you're back up looking at books, and you look up a bit later, and you see this gnome kind of over a ways on the other side, sitting on some barrels, eating like this hot pocket type thing. clearly just enjoying people watching, but it seems like as she's watching people, it's almost like she's studying them, almost like she's looking for inspiration for something. But also, what catches your eye are her eyes. One of her eyes is clearly not a normal eye. It's interesting. And with that, you see Melody. Melody, as you're sitting there, people watching and looking about and seeing what's going on. You see Garish and his haggling. You spot. Let's see here. You spot Talus about. Talus is an interesting creature in that this particular dwarf lady looks like her pockets and bags, everything is bulging with all sorts of interesting things. And you spot her as she is poking around some fabric merchant stalls talking about this piece of fabric and that type of swatch and this wool and this jacquard and oh, but what about this velvet and maybe I need a new pair of shears and how about these needles? Talus, meanwhile, you're so focused in on your fabrics and stuff. You see people, but nothing really catches your eye because you're so fixated on your needles and thread and fabric and the stuff you've been looking for. So I'll let you, I just open it up now for a bit of open and free role play. If you're wanting to chat with any of the merchants, I will go ahead and handle that.
Melody would like to come down off of the barrels because I'm very intrigued by what's happening at the half-orcs sort of stall. What is this argument about, and how can I exploit it?
You head on over to where Garrosh is, and he's clearly entertaining a couple, 2 or 3 merchants who are interested in purchasing, from what the sounds of it are, the furs and horns that he's currently got for sale. Garrosh, as you're haggling with these merchants, you spot this gnomish woman approach you. Gnomish individual approaching you. She seems kind of interested in what's going on.
And are you an artisan yourself? Do you have perhaps more respect for the life of the being whose remains you craft than these fellows?
Ah, that is intriguing. Did you slay the beast yourself?
That I did.
Only
Only after asking its permission, though.
I would love to hear the tale.
Well, as is my custom, I said a prayer to the spirit that guides this tribe of beasts, and I went on the hunt. I had good fortune, and I found these remains. I sell them to support myself and the tribe, but it is important to me that they find the hands of an artisan who will respect both my effort and the life of the being who gave its skin to me and its horns. Are you such an artisan?
Would you say that the horns would make a good instrument?
Aye, this being had quite a voice, I will tell you.
I would be very curious to see what sound they would make.
Well, may I see another instrument you have crafted?
Absolutely. And I pull out from behind me my lute that I have carved with different various runes from the High Druid. This lute was blessed by the High Druid themselves.
Very well. I will give you this horn for, and I name a price half what the merchants have been offering me.
Taken. I would be curious to sit with you, good sir, and see how the rest of your day pans out.
Well, I would welcome your company. You seem to be a person of honor.
Melody gives a sly smile and sits down and starts to tinker with the new horn.
Okay, so you're going to start basically carving it out to form a horn. A
Some
horn
sort
from the
of-
horn.
Yes, a horn, flute, the type thing.
Okay. Let's see here.
Can I walk over to that stall?
You are more than welcome to walk over to that stall. As you're poking around, you see this exchange going on, and it catches your eye.
What you doing?
I still have furs to buy, but I am looking for one who is a craftsman of great skill and insight.
Well, I mean, I'd like to think I'm kind of crafty for the most part, but I'm definitely one that is like one, respectful, healer, thanks. And two, I like to have things just in case, because like this fur is very fine quality. What if it gets really cold? What if there's orphans?
Orphans, you say?
Think about the orphans. And they would love this, and it would be very warm. And I just got all these like needles and thread and stuff just in case, because you never know. Because maybe I can make a cape out of it. If it's not a cape, maybe I can make a parachute. Maybe if it's not a parachute, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
May I see something else you have crafted?
And I'm gonna start digging around in like my pockets and stuff. And as I'm doing that, like weird little bits and bobs just kind of start falling out of my pockets. I don't know. It's gonna take me a minute to find something that I crafted. There are so many things that I have that are just for emergency.
I see.
But if you don't want to sell it to me, that's fine.
And as she's pulling stuff out, it's like she'll pull something out and something else is caught on it, and we'll come out with it. You start seeing this assortment of just odds and ends and weird trinkets and stuff. Just weird stuff starting to gather in a little pile in the corner of the booth where you're at.
I know I'm not the most organized person in the entire world, but I swear. Oh my God, look, I haven't seen this in a few years. Gotta put that away just in case.
Yes, well, perhaps.
Can I still sit with it? Can I touch it?
You may.
Oh my gosh. Where did you get it?
I slew the beast myself on the plains near the Koru migration route.
Okay. It's nice. Beautiful skinning.
Yes, it lived a good life. It was one of the leaders of its herd and reached the end of its life and died with honor.
Oh. I mean, at least it was a happy death, yeah?
Perhaps.
Blanket for the orphans. Yeah, I'm just going to keep petting the fur.
Okay. Rowan, as you're going about, eventually these exchanges with this half-orc barbarian catches your character's eye as they've been perusing books.
Yes, and I especially start to notice that when things start coming out of pockets, I like, and they're just kind of being scattered everywhere in this little pile, but I spot a couple of things. I'm like, that can't be that. No. So I start to kind of wander over, but just kind of looking, trying to get a closer eye on what some of these things actually are.
So all sorts of weird stuff. It's buttons and odds and ends, but every so often something does pop out that you're interested, like this kind of gnarled looking root. Looks interesting. You think it might have some kind of interesting properties to it. Nothing that is super exotic, but clearly just not your run of the mill, oh my goodness, another dandelion root type of thing. You see this kind of weird lump of metal being pulled out, and you're like, huh, oh, so odds and ends like that. This random assortment of stuff pile. While the three of you and a few other merchants were still trying to get what's left of Garash's goods, are there. You spot this dark elven sorcerer, well, this dark elven individual walking up your way. It looks like they're of the more perhaps arcane arts type, based on kind of dress and accoutrement amongst or upon them. They make their way over your direction. And with that, Rowan, you arrive over with the rest.
Yes. I'm terribly sorry. I don't mean to interrupt this whatever this is. I'm not quite sure, but I'm just quite curious. You keep bringing these various things out of your many surprising pockets. Are you looking to sell any of these things? Because I do have an interest in some of the things I'm seeing. There's that little metal built, and there's this interesting root that I saw, and I'm very curious. If you could tell me the origin or where you found them, I would be interested in purchasing.
I mean, like most of this stuff that I'm just like, I've had for such a good chunk of time, just in case. And like, I'm okay with giving, like, well, not giving. I do need funds because, the journey or whatever, but I can't give you origin information because I haven't seen some of this in a while. And that's okay. I mean, how much do you want for it? Wait, I asked that question backwards. What are you going to give me for it?
Rowan is actually rather amused by this, but also a little bit flustered because this is the most disorganized person they have ever seen. Well, I'm certain. Are you looking for financial means or trade, some sort of sharing of knowledge? I'm open to negotiations.
What do you have to trade? I love things.
Clearly. And Rowan didn't really bring too much with them because they came to purchase, but have kind of pull a couple things out of their bag, but it's nothing terribly interesting that I think that Talus would be all that curious about. Yes. I mean, I have this copy of this book. It's well read. It's well cared for. But I have 2 spare copies at home, so I suppose I could let this go.
What's it about?
Well, what do you know about the history of medicinal uses of Jimson weed and how it interacts with different species biology?
I mean, I'm a cleric. I was classically trained. So I know quite a bit about a lot of things, but it never hurts to have a refresher. I can trade you. You want to trade?
Certainly. That's you're quite agreeable.
I am going to turn to my pile and just start untangling a whole bunch of things. And then all of a sudden I go, whoop, here's your root.
Oh, yes, thank you. You're quite a generous person.
Oh, I mean, like everything. I mean, everybody deserves a helping hand every now and then. I mean, like, what if I have something and somebody else can use it more than I can? I mean, it's a good thing that I have these things on hand. You know what I mean?
Knowledge is very important. I can understand that.
But there is one thing. Do you see this beautiful fur thing? Touch it. Touch the fur. It's so soft.
I will lightly touch it. It is quite soft, yes.
Oh my god, is it? Okay.
So you see all this going on in front of you, Garash.
Must say I'm intrigued by your willingness to barter rather than engage in the mercantile trade with the coin of the realm, which supports the corrupt establishment of the feudal hierarchy. What have you to offer in trade for this fur?
I mean, are you looking for anything in particular?
I seek many things: knowledge, advantage in combat.
Well, I just got this really cool book about something with the herbs and the healing, and then combat. And I like reach down into my boots and I start pulling out like tiny little throwing knives, couple rolls of parchment, not sure what's on those. Battle. You want some candy?
No, but thank you.
Oh, I forgot my son was in here, so I said the C word. I mean,
But you mentioned orphans a moment ago.
my God.
There are orphans in this town. Perhaps you can give the candy to them, and if you promise to give this fur to a needy orphan, that would honor the memory of its prior owner, for the beings in this tribe of herd animals are known to care for the young of their fallen comrades. Such would be an honorable memory for this beast.
I will do that. Oh my God, the orphans are going to be so happy and they're going to be so warm and it's going to be so great. And then like the little bits of sugar.
As you speak with them, perhaps you may gain information from them that may be of use to me.
Like what?
If there are any outsiders in the town, those from the capital, those from beyond the North Wall, that kind of thing.
Oh, I mean, I can ask for sure.
Much appreciated.
It sounds, my friend, as if you are searching for someone in particular.
That would be an overstatement, perhaps. I search for someone, I know not who, but who may have knowledge of my former life.
I wonder if I might also be able to help you.
I would greatly appreciate that.
Who is it that you seek?
Perhaps in a less public space, I can give more detail. For now, suffice to say, it would be those from the courtiers of the Dragon Throne who have seen the corruption of the Empire.
I have a rather complex relationship with them. I would love to help.
Very well.
Okay. So you're going about this. I'll let you do just a little bit more role play, and then I have a fun encounter.
I will be right back.
Okay.
When the GM says fun encounter in a tone, I want to run.
You mentioned you knew the Great Druid. Tell me more of your affiliation with that individual.
I am the minstrel from the Druid Circle. I am a stalwart companion.
So you sing?
Yes, and tell tales.
Is that right? Do you write your own songs, or do you sing things others have written for you?
I prefer to make my songs from the tales that happen around me.
I see. Well, never mind then.
Were you looking for something in particular?
Oh, no, I'm a bit of a scribbler myself. I've written a few odes, a few tales, but I have, as you may hear, my voice is not one people enjoy listening to. So if you would ever consider singing, putting them to music, I would consider it an honor, but never mind, forget it. They're no good anyway. Don't worry.
I think that would be a great task. I would love to see them sometime.
Well, that's very kind of you, but forget I asked, though. It's silly. Never mind.
It's impossible for me to forget that you asked.
Very well.
As you're chatting and talking about stuff, you start hearing ruckus ways down. And the ruckus starts to grow. And the next thing you know, you hear some shouting.
Shouting and ruckus. Perhaps our new friend has found some orphans. I want to go take a look.
As do I. My business here is done. Perhaps we should see what that is.
Yes, that does sound like there's something amiss, and perhaps we should take a look.
You hear, and Garash, this is very familiar to you. It's clearly Orcish. Coming. An orc voice is coming from some distance away. Over the sound of startled people, kind of screams of startled people and other people going, "What?" and whatnot. You hear words of basically, "Why no invite? They're here." It sounds like whatever the source is, they're not the happiest.
I would approach and see what's going on.
Okay, so it's a ways down there. So it's one of those where you're going to have to kind of pack stuff up and walk down. Do you decide to do that?
I do.
Okay, so Garash suddenly starts just kind of packing stuff away, with the rest of you gathered around. The rest of you also hear and see this commotion at some distance, and it sounds like it's coming a little bit closer. Do you decide to join Garash as he starts wandering off to see what's going on?
Absolutely.
One tarnation.
Yes, I'm curious in having a private conversation with Garash later about some of the knowledge he seeks, but so I will stay with him for the time being.
Okay. So, we'll kind of trail behind him, and let's see if I trail behind him, and kind of stumbling into the outer area of the fair, are about a half dozen orcs. They seem a bit ticked off that they were not invited to the fair.
We'll look over at Garash and say, friends of yours?
I try to study them and see if I can tell if any affiliation they might have. If there are different types of groups of orcs out there. Or...
Yeah, it's clear that these are very much affiliated with the Orc Lord. Looks like some of his own associations. They seem to have taken a little bit offense that they were not actually invited to the fair. A couple of them look like they're carrying some sizable packs, hoping to maybe do some trading, but orcs and trading typically aren't words you hear in the same sentence.
Okay. Yeah, I'm intrigued because I hope that these are peace-loving orcs. So I will clear my voice and say, if you've come to do business, perhaps we can simply do business. There are many merchants here. There's no need for conflict.
A couple of them, actually one of them holding a stave, kind of motions for the others to stop and turns as you speak and looks at you, narrowing his eyes. Who are you?
I am Goresh of the High Clan of the Koru people.
Why should we listen to you?
I have no authority here. I simply see no reason that this needs to be an argument. The market appears to be open. I have been doing business here with no problem. If you have something to sell, perhaps you should offer it. Many merchants here seem hungry for goods.
True, but why were we never invited?
I don't believe I was invited either. I just heard it was happening. Was anyone invited?
He looks back at his companions, whispers some stuff. Let's see here. Okay. He whispers some stuff to his companions and they carry on for a while with this whispered conversation. And feel free to roleplay amongst yourselves for a moment. I have something I need to tell a player really quick. I'm going to do a whisper via Roll20 on that.
Secrets don't make friends.
Secrets are lies. No.
I mean, like, Goresh is right. Like, I mean, I just kind of showed up because why not? But I don't know. I'm here.
I start to tell the tale of how in ancient times, fairs were things that allowed people to come together in Congress and allowed for trade and new alliances, and now it seems they're just a place for people to gather and gripe.
And I'm just like kind of working on getting stuff back in my pockets so I can go and talk to the orphans.
However, Goresh, should you need some assistance,
They don't go in.
with these orcs that have an affinity for causing arguments.
In my experience, it's often as much the rigid-minded townsfolk that are to blame for such arguments.
Well, that might be true. I'd like to turn your eye towards the leader's left wrist.
What do I see there?
What I see there is a clear mark of the Orc Lord. I believe these particular friends might be here to spread the word of the Black Fang tribe.
Yeah, Goresh goes a little rigid and frowns. They are dedicated to eternal war, not peace.
It would seem so, my newfound friend.
You see Goresh begin to tremble with rage, and he says to the orcs, if you come with peaceful intentions, do your business. If you come to cause mayhem, know that you will find only your death on this land.
The orcs look up from their whispered discussions. Treading on land that we claim as ours. Never mind that it's basically hugging the Queen's wood. And it's clearly some ways from kind of the wastes where a lot of the orcs tend to gather. But it's not uncommon for some of the orcish tribes to wander the wilds in other parts of the Dragon Empire.
Also, never minding the signs that apparently this particular village has been here longer than you.
All permanent settlements lead to decadence and weakness. You should continue to wander, as your nomadic forefathers always have.
And they just stare you down. Are you saying we are not welcome here?
Could I cast Charm Person, please?
Sure. Who are you wanting to cast it on?
I would like to cast it on the one who appears to be the leader of this orcish group.
Okay. Go ahead and roll. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and use your bookworm on that.
I have Defender of the Wilds and Wildwood
sorry.
Minstrel. Bookworm, I believe, is Rowan.
That's right. You're the Defender of the Wilds.
Yes.
Okay, so for that, let us. Okay, yeah, go ahead and roll that.
So I would roll a d20 and I would add
+5. So it's
Plus
your
5.
that plus your 5, and then it's against the target's mental defense. Let me look that up really quick for the mob.
Okie dokie. Do I trust the roll 20 system or do I roll a real die? Yeah.
Oh, with whatever your gut tells you to do.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
1d20 plus 5. Ah! I got a 19.
Nice. You make it.
Perfect. And I will tell Goresh, I believe that the leader of our orcish horde here might be a little more willing to listen. And as I do that, I wave my hand and sort of cast the spells. Jedi mind trick.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not sure I have any idea what you mean by that. So I'm still getting angry, and I say to them, efforts have been made to make peace between your people and these humans. My existence is proof of the possibility of love between those two people. And while my greatest anger is against the humans who slew my father by stealth for the crime of making peace, those who wear the mark that you wear drove my mother from her homeland, and I have no pity for your folk. You should leave this place now before my rage becomes uncontrollable.
And I speak to the leader at that point and say, good. kind sir. It might be in your best interest to return from whence you came.
I'm just gonna lean in over to Roan and just go, "Oh snap! What is happening?"
I will lean in and whisper, I believe our friend here is attempting to charm this particular orc, and let's see how that goes.
Okay, I'm just gonna finish my hot pocket.
At that word, and with the successful casting of that spell, the leader kind of looks at you and goes, "Best interest to leave, hmm?
Indeed.
You actually care about us?"
Of course. I also care about what you do when you leave here. I would love to tell the tale of your tribe.
Fine. Fine. You aren't worth it. And you, and he points his staff toward the bard. If you do want to hear about our exploits, our glorious exploits, walk that way. And he points out away from the fair, out, basically out somewhere into the horizon. And he motions to the other orcs and it goes, come on. I'll cause trouble elsewhere. And they slowly kind of work their way out and away from the fair.
Indeed. The wilds will see you later.
Lila's in the potty. Oh,
You're
sorry.
not on mute. I'll look at Garish and say, "Are you all right, my friend?"
I must say this meeting has brought forth unpleasant memories. Was it Iron Fang or Black Fang? Is that what you said?
Black Fang.
The Black Fang are a menace to orcish and human society alike. There are many on this side of the empire don't know there are people among the orcs who wish for peace and trade and prosperity, but the Black Fang destroy those hopes on a regular basis. I suspect as soon as your magic wears off, they will return with ill intent.
Perhaps.
As you're standing there chatting, you hear a crier coming through the crowds. Test your skill! Come on down to the southern clearing for test of skill. If any of you would like to go test your skill and see how well you can scorch, shoot, tear up, or otherwise destroy a target, or an opponent, depending on your choice.
I feel a great rage boiling in my soul after this meeting. I must dispel it somehow. Let us engage in contests of strength.
I bet you anything the orphans will be there to watch. So I'll be able to ask those questions and stuff that you want me to ask. Who are you wanting me to ask about? Suspicious things. Got you.
And you hear the barker kind of canvassing through the crowd, and it's clear he's caught the attention of more than a couple people. And various individuals start kind of finishing stuff up and trickling their way south. Some clear to test their skill, and others clearly to watch the tests of skill that will be happening.
I will follow along and just sort of absently play my new horn. See if it's in tune yet.
You give it a test here and there, and it's clear that it's getting there, but it's going to take a bit of work to continue working the finger holes to where they're going to produce the tone you want, and clearing out where the like the reed would sit, or the mouthpiece area. But it's getting there.
You are amazingly quick with your work, Melody Tree Talker.
I try. It's best to have an instrument ready for when you need it, than not have an instrument ready when you need it.
Yes, I have an instrument ready, and I feel the need to use it. I heft my axe. Is there anything here I can destroy?
As you make mention of that, you come down to the kind of southern kind of clearing area, and there's various targets set up. There is clearly stuff that you can indeed destroy. One of the folks kind of organizing this particular test of skill, combat of contest at this point, looks over your group as you arrive and sees Arash hefting his axe. You, sir, you fine sir, are you wanting to take part in this fine contest?
I am.
Wonderful. Please step right over here. Any else of your group wish to join in and participate? And he looks at the rest of you.
No, I'm more of a healer than somebody who does the opposite of that. And I go trotting along looking for some more fence.
Oh, a healer! My goodness, they might find use of you over at the healing tents. You never know what might happen, and particularly for those who do decide to go toe to toe with somebody else besides. And he points over to where they've got some of like the kind of training dummy type targets set up.
I mean, I could probably be of service. I have one stop to make before I head over there. Have you seen any of the tiny parentless children?
I have seen them, yes. I believe you will find them more toward any motions off directions that are a little bit further away. They do like to watch the test of skill, though, so I do expect to see them around here because, well, with people such as this, and emotions off to Garash and others, who would want to pass this up?
Okay, I will stop by because I have this wonderful floor thing that I need to give them, and I have some questions, and then I will go and help out at the tent. Thank you.
Of course. Anybody else want to join in? So we have
I could use some practice with my short bow.
Okay. So we have Archer, we have our axe, and anybody else want to take part?
Rowan would ask, what sort of skill are you testing, and perhaps what is the is there some sort of reward, or what is the purpose?
Test of skill to see how good you are, how well you can roast a target, whether it's through magic flame or perhaps chopping it to pieces. He motions off to Garash and his axe, or maybe it is through skill of the bow. How well can you do against the target? Or if you do prefer, we can pair you up with someone you can go toe to toe. Whatever you prefer.
Are there any contests that are, I mean, certainly I could perform magical means, but what about skill of the mind? Any it's I want something to be a challenge if I'm going to participate.
Skill of the mind. Are you wanting things such as riddles and such, or hoping for something a little bit more complex?
Not riddles, but if I'm going to compete in some sort of contest. There's no sense in me just, as nice as, and I gesture to Garesh, his strength is and my intelligence are different means. I would prefer to be in combat against someone of a similar persuasion.
That can be arranged.
Very well. We'll see what there is. Who your other challengers may be.
May we fight as a group against a group of other challengers.
Interesting. I have not
It
considered
might
that
be
before.
useful if we need to learn to work together for.
At that mention, do you want to continue on to the orphans, or do you want to halt and kind of go,
Go ahead with the orphans. I think we can.
Okay.
Anyone object to that?
No, because I have a way to work you in if that is your choice later on. What do the rest of you think of Garash's proposal?
Sounds fabulous. I would find it a great honor to fight beside a warrior such as yourself, good sir.
I'm intrigued by the prospect. I must admit, I've never really fought in combat along with others before. That could be a unique challenge. I accept your proposal. Yes, we shall try this.
Okay. Let's see here. So there's going to be a 3-on-3 then, correct? We'll do a 3-on-3 since we're going to have our healer, our lovely dwarven cleric, is going to go off and check on the orphans and such. Okay. So, who am I going to pit you against? At that mention that you're going to go for a basically group melee. The organizer gives you nod and motions over for you to step aside to this one area in preparation. It's clear that some of the contests have started. In this case, it's one on single individuals against targets. But he mentions that in just a moment, that the targets will be cleared away, and your group will be the first for the group combat test of skill. Feel free to do a bit of role play while I get your opponents ready.
Oh, since we are just meeting, would you mind, what are your areas of expertise? What are your strengths and perhaps your areas of a weakness?
I am fairly formidable in physical battle. I have no magical abilities to speak of.
I have my short sword, I have my short bow, and I can also help out. I like to call it with a battle cry or a battle chant, or telling some sort of tale.
Ah, yes, I see. All right, very well. My particular area of expertise, well, there are many, I will admit that, but primarily I have some magical abilities and as well as I can do other things as well, but my general area is strategery. I like to think fight smarter, not harder.
Indeed, strategy might come in handy. Perhaps we should recruit some of Talus's orphans. They could be a wonderful distraction.
I'm sorry, I'm just imagining like, go forth, children. You'll get 15 gold pieces if you provide us with a wall of child armor.
Hide behind the pile of orphans.
Human shield.
Shield wall.
That reminds me a bit of in the Gamer's Darkness Rising with the wall
Yes.
of bards.
The pile of bards.
Pile of bards.
I think we had that reference last time.
Oh my gosh. I know where I'm going, and that's fine.
Yes. I'm not suggesting that we use children as a shield.
Yeah,
But-
not in real life. Everybody
No,
calm
no, please. Chat. Don't do the thing I'm afraid you're going to do.
It's not recommended.
No. But children can be a great distraction, especially if they start hooping and hollering.
Yes, it is the unruly youth. Go forth.
Go forth and shout.
Tiny pterodactyls.
Okay. While you've been conversing and getting to know each other a bit better and figure out stuff, various individuals have enjoyed shooting or blasting or otherwise destroying stationary targets from various distances. And there have been quite some surprise shouts and cheers as individuals, especially those who do ranged from quite some distance back, have just obliterated the target or their target. In short order, a group of individuals move in and clear away the targets, and then quickly set some stakes in the ground and set up a rope with colored flags on it, helping to denote and mark out basically space for one-on-one combat or team combat for those who want to test their skill against another team. Across the way you see a group, a couple of elves and a half-elf who look to be maybe studying you. And you are then quickly told that they will be your opponents. A 3-on-3 versus 3 fight. Your opponents, one of them looks to be attired not unlike your sorcerer, very much in robes and accoutrement to someone who might be more in the realm of a spellcaster. Another is clearly arrayed in clothing of that of, say, a ranger or scout type. And the other is definitely well armored, carrying a few different weapons, probably a fighter or something along that line. Definitely doesn't look shiny and clean enough and the type to be a paladin, so you're thinking probably more the fighter than a paladin type, and doesn't quite look like a barbarian. So the ring is still being set up. Do you have any roleplay you want to do prior to entering the ring?
Well, strategist, what would you suggest? I'm always a fan of take out the magic user first.
Yes, I have a feeling that they will be, I can see them seeing me, so they will go for me just as if we go for them. But yes, if if we can keep the other two busy while we take out the magic user first, I don't see how they could possibly beat us. If I could keep them grouped, that could be very useful for particular options.
I can provide some support.
If they
How
are
about-
if they are close together, I can attack them as a group as well.
You know, Garesh, I once knew of a mighty warrior who reminds me a lot of you. He had this wonderful thing he could do where he could take an axe in either hand and spin around very fast and attack several people at once.
That I can do that.
Brilliant!
With one axe, just one axe. I use one axe, but I can attack many enemies at once, but only at the beginning of a battle.
That's such a Diablo response.
I know, right? The whirling dervish.
I ask Goresh, how are you with cold? I'm just curious.
I have endured the elements in many different circumstances. The migratory path of the Koru passes through several microclimates.
Very well. We should be fine.
I don't have any
Okay.
particular resistance to the cold, but
No, it's just, it may get a bit chilly.
very well.
Talus, you do find where there's kind of basically an orphanage where orphans are. And the kind of matron of the orphanage happily welcomes you in, asking what you're looking for, what you're wanting.
Oh, I am like I'm a do-gooder. I do a lot of the good things, and I found this absolutely fabulous giant thingy of fur that could keep them warm. And it's the softest thing I've ever held. So I thought I would kind of gift it to them and ask, like, just kind of talk to them and see how they're doing.
Okay. The furs that you purchased, they happily accept and state that it will come in handy for things like gloves and mittens during the winter weather. Because what better way to keep little fingers warm than fur?
Yay!
And the kids love adoring. They just glomp around you and they kind of, oh, is this your weapon? And what about this? And is this your holy symbol? And they're curious as all get out.
Oh yes, little ones. These are all of my really cool things. But as much as I would love to go through all of my little trinkets, I'll have to save that for next time. But I have a couple questions because then I gotta go and help my friends. Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What are your questions?
Have you seen anything weird lately? Like people who don't belong here at all, or you just kind of they give you like funny vibes?
There was this one kind of looked funny, like your eyes. Yeah, like that. Except for their eye didn't look as cool. It wasn't that cool. It was like gross.
Was this a girl or a boy?
I couldn't tell, but they had this weird eye thingy, and it was a while back too. And then there was this guy, and this other kid popped up. Yeah, that one guy. Yeah, you thinking that one guy with that one? He was kind of just weird. I don't know why, but he just was. I think it was because he was like trying to be all stealthy, but really was really failed to do. So it was so funny, especially when he tripped over that rope.
What rope? Where?
a rope, like, because tents and stuff, and he didn't see the rope, and he kind of tripped over it, and he kind of fell, and it was so funny. Like he was trying to be all stealthy and totally, like, didn't.
Okay.
It was so funny, and then the kids start just giggling.
It sounds like it would be super hilarious. Okay. Last question. What did their clothes look like?
Hmm. So I know. And this young girl runs off and runs back with kind of this worn but still very serviceable cloak that's a little bit too big for her. Clearly, like she's borrowing it from somebody else, like one of the other kids in the orphanage. So it's like this, and she wraps herself in the cloak and brings the hood up low over her head, and then tries to walk around like being like quiet and stealthy, but clearly like failing to do so. Like basically, think of like a sneak thief who's just miserably failed his sneaking throw. And
Oh,
stealth like stealth type throw.
uh-huh.
Kind of like
Uh,
that, except for his cloak was like dark grays and dingy and dirty, and it was weird. But I think he was one of those people who kind of just from the bad side of town and then tries to cause a lot of trouble and steal stuff from good people.
okay. Okay. Cool. So they were seen sort of recently, and that's a good thing, kind of. And they were just kind of weird. Okay, perfect. And I pull out like a couple chunks of candy. There's like string and stuff like kind of wrapped around them because I don't know. Enjoy and have fun with your warm mittens. And I will come and visit later and we can tell stories.
Thank you. And the kids, they don't care. They're just like picking off the bits of string and stuff and passing out the candy.
Yay. I don't know how to spell cloak. That was
CLOAK.
okay. I do know how to spell it perfect. Weird eye. Okay, so I'm gonna head out.
Okay. The rest of you, they have the ring set up and it is your turn. You are called in and they ask that you stand one side of the ring, your opponents will be on the other. And once the flag is dropped, they have a few people around the outer edge kind of watch things and make sure things don't get out of hand. They point to an individual over on the side who's clearly waving this big, like annoyingly bright flag. When you see this flag drop, contest begins. The crowd's definitely gathering around, especially now because contest of skill against a target is one thing. Contest of opponents versus another group is something else. And various individuals have come to watch, maybe in a way of offering those who win contracts for service of things like bodyguards or just guards or who knows. But it is now your turn, and flag is waving, and let's go ahead and for the three of you, let's go ahead and roll for initiative.
Yeah, not that good.
Me neither.
And how are you, Rowan?
I can roll. I just don't know how to. I don't know. I never figured out how to pull up my character sheet or anything on here. So
we're not going to worry about character sheets right on roll 20. You can just roll it and add in however many you need. Add in for your needs.
okay.
Okay. Okay. And
Am I rolling again too?
I'm not going to worry about you because you're not actually going to be in the ring. You've gone off to the tent to help tend to the wounded and stuff and
Perfect.
whatnot. Yep. You're not going to have to worry about that unless you decide you actually want to, jump into the ring and get into the tussle. And I think you're kind of wanting to kind of stay on the outside and spectate / be available in case stuff goes south.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Okay. And and 18. Okay. So we have starting. And okay. The both of you are now watching, waiting for the flag to drop, and the flag drops. And the first to react is on their side. And their scout type looks over, grabs an arrow, nocks it, and takes a shot at they're gonna take a shot at that's it. Probably we could take a shot at Rowan. And there we go. So they okay, does a 14 hit? For your armor class.
Yes. Hold on. Yes, that will hit.
Okay, just barely hits. Okay. And they do do 4 points of damage. And then they move a little bit, kind of looking to set up for their next shot. Their heavily armored person now steps forward and distances himself from the other two. It's clear that he's very much a melee fighter, and steps forward to engage with Garrosh. And he makes an attempt, and I believe a 10 misses.
Yes.
Okay. He makes an attempt, but his swing goes wide and he misses. He recovers though, thrown off balance a bit, but recovers and falls as he can into somewhat of a defensive stance, since apparently he can't hit the broadside of a barn right now. Okay, Rowan, it's your turn.
Okay. So the group has started to separate some a bit.
Yep.
But I still really would like to focus on the caster. I will start by using a chaos bolt.
Okay.
Let's see. Rolled a 24, or I have 24.
Okay, and that hits.
And if it was
It's 1d8 plus 3.
right, and since the attack roll was even, I'll gain a chaotic benefit. So so it would be 4.
Yep. So okay. So well, go ahead and roll a d6 for me. Okay. So you're chaotic. Okay. And so what we're doing is because you rolled even, you gain a chaotic benefit as if you had gathered power. So that tells us that your chaotic benefit is that you deal damage equal to your level to one nearby enemy. So you do 4 to the wizard. And 1 nearby enemy, and the closest to you is probably going to be probably the fighter.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay. So you singe their spell hurler a bit, and with that you have this random kind of bolt of energy fly off, and it zaps their fighter. Okay. Okay, Garrosh, your turn.
Okay. I have some questions about how this works. So in the first action, I can do a whirlwind attack if I'm engaged by 2 or more enemies. Am I close enough to the other 2 to include them in that attack?
The only one you're close enough to is going to be the fighter right now.
Okay. So in that case, I will use a quick action to rage. And I think that essentially means I'm attacking with advantage. And if both of them are over 11, it counts as a critical. So let's see what happens here. Now let's see. If you roll a natural 11 plus, so it was not a natural 11 plus, but the high one is a 19.
Okay, well, it's your... Okay. Yep. So so you do hit with the 1.
Okay. And that's, I guess, 17 points of damage.
Your basic melee? Yep. And you're going up against their fighter?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. You take a nice chunk out of his armor and do him a good chunk of damage. Okay, it is Melody's turn.
I think I would like to try to do. So my sound burst says it targets 1d3 nearby enemies in a group.
So if you wanted to center it on, so the way that 13th Age works is rather than say D&D where you have, you have this extends for 30 feet or it's a 20-foot cone or whatever. Within 13th Age, they look at it's either nearby or melee, or far away or distance ranged instead. So the distances are much more meldable and kind of amorphic that way. It's not strictly delineated in a pretty little box.
Okay.
So you are looking to do sound burst is what you're trying to do?
Yep. And I could potentially hit all 3 of them.
What I say is that I think trying to hit all 3 would be hard, but you could easily target the 2 further away. That is close enough where you could target them without harming anybody on your side.
So I would be targeting the ranged attacker and the magic user.
Yep.
Okay. So then, okay. So it's 1d20 plus 5 versus their physical defense, and
Yep.
I didn't do it right. Hang on. Haha, no.
Nope, you do not make it.
Darn it. What does natural even hit mean? Like if you hit and it's a naturally even number?
That means that once you roll without any augmenting, that you got a natural on it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. Okay. And there. Let's see here. They utter some words and gesture a bit, and let's see here. They're gonna go after Rowan again. And they send off in your direction a spell. Let's see if we can actually, if it hits you, and then if it does, I will let you know what it is. Does a 13 hit?
Yes, that just hits me.
Oh, just hits. Okay. And you take 10 points of damage. It is cold damage. You were hit with a ray of frost. Okay. Go. And back to the top of initiative. This time, their archer shifts a bit, and this time, staring down arrow down at Garrosh.
Can I only use battle cries on my turn?
Unless it states otherwise, yes.
What does flexible melee attack mean?
That means that it can be given on your turn or any ally's turn. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah, you can kind of go, oh, by the way, you can do this, battle cry this, and yeah,
Right.
pop it in. So that's how I'm gonna be interpreting that. Let's see here. Does a 9 hit you, Garrosh?
No.
Okay.
17.
The arrow goes wide. And sinks into the ground. And he starts. What looks like it's happening is the Wood Elven Ranger starts cussing in Elvish. The fighter, though, once again is going to try to engage. And they're going to be going with okay. That was a 17 hit you.
That is my armor class, so that just
Okay.
hits.
Just hits. Okay. And they do 18.
That was a good hit.
And it is Rowan's turn.
Okay, I'm not messing around. I'm actually going to take my time to gather power. I'm gonna just start taking in magical energy for my next attack.
Okay. Okie dokie. So you start just doing what you need to do, gathering power. Okie dokie. Oh, this is going to be nasty when you finally unleash that next round. Hey, Gar, your turn.
All right. After I take that hit, my rage intensifies, and in the sweat on my body, it starts to shimmer like metallic dragon scales. I whirl around and heft my axe again at this fighter with my rage attack. Ooh, and both of them are over 11, so it's 25 to hit, and that makes it a critical.
Okay.
So what does that mean in this game?
So, for you, let's see here, barbarian.
Did you double the dice, or what do you?
So for critical, let me double check on that really fast to make sure I'm giving you the right information. Double damage.
So you just double the whole damage, or just the dice, not the modifier, like in D&D?
You deal the double damage.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay. Let me see if I can do that. Let me see if this works. I'm playing around with macros for these things. See if this does anything. Yeah. So, okay. I think that worked, right? Like did it do the math right? I'm not sure. But good enough, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I don't know if it did it right, but I'll take it.
Okay. So you're going after their fighter?
Yeah.
Okay. You just cleave right into him, and he goes down onto one knee and stays on one knee. It's clear that he is now bowing out. Their side is now down to 2.
So does that technically mean I reduced him to 0 hit points?
Essentially 0 hit points, yes.
So
or for the sake of mechanics, yes.
We're not killing people here.
We're not going to kill people here.
So I will use my barbaric cleave once per battle. As a free action, I can make another melee attack after I've dropped a non-mook foe to 0 hit points with a melee attack. So can I charge over to their caster and take a swing at him?
Yep.
All right. Oh, the dice almost got the... So it's a 24 to hit, but I didn't get a critical.
Okay, but you got a 24 to hit on their spell hurler. And that hits them. So as far as a 2 hit, you do.
That's 12 points of damage.
Okay. They're still up, but their robes are now well torn and a bit bloodied. Okay. Melody, your turn.
Okay. I think I am going to darn it. I've already tried to do my sound burst, so I can't try to do that again, right? Because it says daily.
Yep.
Okay. So I will make a ranged attack against their ranger, their ranged person.
Okay.
So that is 1d20 plus 3. I got a 15.
You just barely miss.
Ah! A shot and a missed.
Okay. Their wizard their wizard goes for Okay. Their wizard goes for a spell. He utters some stuff. And let's see here. There we go. 21. And they're going for your physical defense, Gar. Yep, that will hit. And suddenly, you are covered in this stinging, nasty acid, Gar. You figure out.
I would like to trigger a stay strong battle cry.
Okay.
Well, wait, no, that doesn't help you. Never mind, that doesn't help you.
Okay.
Never mind. Increasing your AC, not gonna help you.
And 15 points.
Okay, I think that takes me just 1 point under 0. Let me see.
Okay. If it takes you down to 0, basically you can treat it as you've been hit enough and you bow out, down to 1 knee.
Okay. What is recovery only outside of combat? Is that the deal? The recovery roll that's listed here?
Recovery is something that with that, let me share what it says. With a it's your ability to regain lost hit points. You can take a recovery in battle, but most of the time you don't. Basically, it's 1 die per level and your con modifier.
Cool.
And that's how many points you can regain. You can do that up to 8 times per day.
All right. Well, I'm out of this one then.
Or at least you think you're out of it right now. Because I see something that Melody could do.
I would like to do that. Can I do that?
You can do that.
I would like to tell you to pull it together, man. And a nearby ally can heal using a recovery and heals an additional 1d4 hit points per point of escalation die.
Whoa.
And we are currently at an escalation die of 1. Actually, no, we're not. We're at escalation die of 2 now. Sorry.
So it's my usual 2d10 plus 3, and then how much more?
Plus 2d4.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Pull it together, man. Get back up on your feet.
This acid burns. Oh, but I feel better now. Thank you.
Shake it off. Shake it off.
And we're going to wrap this up because it is nearly time.
Okay.
Woohoo! This was interesting. I liked the role playing. I enjoyed that.
The combat system seems kind of fun. The barbarian features are way more fun than the D&D barbarian.
Yeah. I like that you can actually be a whirling dervish
Right.
of death as a
Mhm.
barbarian.
The best is if I miss, there's this thing called building frenzy. If I miss, I get an added D6 to damage for the rest of the battle. If I miss again, it's 2D6 up to like 3D6.
Man,
That is
you
such a
just keep
fun thing to when you miss, you get stronger. It's great.
Yeah.
getting- you just keep getting mad.
You fail forward.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
and there's a lot of that with this about failing forward and making things interesting. So it's not just a numbers battle, but it's a
Mhm.
story battle.
Hmm.
And that's kind of cool, especially that failing forward thing. That's helpful when we're doing, like this as therapy.
Mhm.
We can teach the kids. I mean, yeah, you might not make your roll, but that doesn't mean it doesn't make your next attempt better because you learned from it.
Or you still do a bit of damage. It might not be as much, but something still happens.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
What is
Yeah.
what is miss damage?
So if for some reason you go for it and you don't make it, you can take your miss damage. And then basically it's you still nick them. You still do something. It's just not as powerful and as epic as it could have been.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So you don't just fully miss. You can still
Right.
do like I
You
get
can-
2 points of miss damage if I miss.
Yep.
Nice.
Depending on what it is. In some cases you get miss damage and others you don't.
Huh.
Would you like me to narrate and kind of finish up the rest of this? So we
Sure.
can finish it up. So you go back and forth and back and forth. But obviously with melodies epic and heroic, pull it together, man. And getting Gar back up on his feet, it doesn't take much more, and you have clearly overwhelmed the other group. And it's
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
and just for fun. And but it's something that clearly has drawn quite a crowd, especially when was clear that it was very much a toe-to-toe type of fight. Afterward, as you exit the arena, clerics and such come over. Talus, you're more than welcome to come over and tend to the wounded and injured and
It's time to heal with the power of love.
And with that, Talus, feel free to do a bit of that. But she comes on over. They come over and tend to wounds and tie up this and bandage that and pray over this and whatnot. And after wounds have been tended to, your opponents come over and shake your hand and go, "Really good fight. Very much appreciate that." And you respond as you wish.
Up top, bro. Nothing.
Self 5.
And it is something that the crowd clearly enjoyed too. Not only was it fun for you all, but it was definitely fun for the crowd as well, and got some cheers going on, and maybe in some cases some jeers. And from that, obviously requests are made. Are you available? Can I contract with you? Can you help with this? Can you do that? And so you get offers for jobs and whatnot. And of course, the rest of the fair goes on. And whether you decide to stay together during the rest of the fair and continue on as an adventuring party later on is your choice. But you have had a chance to enjoy some of the fair. And that is where we'll go ahead and end this game.
Huzzah.